We're gonna charge. We're gonna charge at Vaughn's. Electrify America. Free charging. Occupied. 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 And occupied. Well, welcome to Dirt, Sweat, and Gears, your electric chair for electric vehicles. We are here with my latest acquisition. This is a 2023 Volkswagen ID4 Pro S all-wheel drive. It's like an iPhone. I mean, it's even named like an iPhone. Right off the bat, let's just get this out of the way. I'm not doing this video to tell you why you should buy an EV. I'm going to tell you why I bought an EV. I'm also not going to talk about the tech specs or, you know, the frunk or any of the other crap that you can learn from any other video. There are literally hundreds, if not thousands of them out there from pretty much everyone that calls themselves an automotive journalist. So for the past 2 years, my wife has been driving my 1990 Mazda Miata to work, and her commute is round trip 110 miles. Now, if you've done a commute like that in a Miata, I feel sorry for you.
Here we go. Everybody clap. Oh, it is shitty. God. Oh, things fart like my grandpa. Oh, good, he's got the tow hook on it. That's good.
The Miata is a car. It gets great gas mileage. It's nice and small, easy to maneuver, easy to get around, but it is not comfortable for long trips. And when you're commuting 110 miles round trip 3 days a week across town in traffic, it's just not a good time. It's not where you go to take that car. So we wanted to get something a little more comfortable. It had to be more comfortable, and that's pretty much in comparison. Anything is more comfortable than a 90 Miata in traffic. In this video, we're going to take this car out for a drive. We're going to see what it's like to charge in public charging infrastructure, and we're going to come back. We're going to give this car a wash, and we're going to ceramic coat it. Now, normally I would have this thing wrapped in PPF, but considering I don't have thousands of dollars laying around, I've chosen to ceramic coat because that is only $170 for a tiny little bottle of ceramic coat. And even if I had thousands of dollars to blow on a PPF, I wouldn't try to normalize it, because normalizing that kind of wealth is asinine. I'm just going to say it. Normalizing that kind of wealth is asinine. And if you happen to have the YouTube discount where people give you shit, I'm happy for you, but I don't have that luxury. I have to pay for it. But with all the further ado in the world, let's get in the car and go for a drive. All right, so we're in the car. This is honestly a much nicer car than I deserve. One of the nice things about the ID4 compared to some other brands is that we don't have panels rattling around for no apparent reason. This is kind of a tank. It's a big car, but it's not enormous. And that's another thing I appreciate about it. It's a reasonable size. Oh, music. Okay. It's a reasonable size. It's not huge. I don't like the fact that it's a crossover SUV, but they all are right now. There's only a few actual cars, and one of them is a Tesla, and I'm not going to own a Tesla because Tesla is actively hostile to DIY people, and I don't like that. Let's talk about why I chose an ID4 versus pretty much any other car. First reason is I wanted an electric car, and not because I'm some kind of EV enthusiast. Clearly, I am a motorhead. If you've seen any of my other 9 cars, you'd know that I've got no problem with gas cars. What I do have a problem with, though, is doing oil changes every 6 weeks. That's a nightmare. Are you kidding me? The amount of maintenance, the number of times I had to stop a project to get this stupid Miata into the garage just so that she could go to work the next day, that was insane. That was so stressful. And since we've gotten this car, I haven't had to worry at all about getting my wife to work. That's amazing. Because the thing is, with a gas car, you're racking up miles. You have to do an oil change, then you have to change the transmission fluid, and then you have to check the belts, you have to check the brakes, you have to check this and check that. Electric cars are a lot less maintenance. That is a fact. And so beyond maintenance, charging at home is a lot cheaper than filling up a gas tank. I'm in Southern California. Your mileage may vary. So where I live, it costs half as much to charge this car for a commute than it does to fill up gas for the Miata. So for the Miata, it costs about $20 per day to commute back and forth. And charging at home, it's half that. Now, charging at public infrastructure, it's about the same. And that's a huge problem that I have with electric cars. The infrastructure is just way too expensive. It is way too expensive to charge a car, and in most states where gas is really cheap, having an electric car is going to be more expensive to charge. I mean, holy crap, that's insane. If it costs 56 cents per kilowatt hour, but it costs you $2.50 to fill up your tank per gallon, you know, the case for an EV is really hard to make. We're gonna find the chargers that are available for this car. Now, there are more chargers than Electrify America, but Electrify America gives us free charging for 3 years because we got a Volkswagen. And that means charging at Electrify America is free, which is great because we are using it. And another benefit is that I don't currently have electricity in my garage yet, so I actually can't charge this car at home. So right now it's our only option, and we're going to discover what that means for us. All right, here we are pulling into Vaughn's. We're gonna charge. We're gonna charge at Vaughn's. Electrify America, free charging. Occupied, and occupied. Well, shit. I guess we're not charging here. And that, my friends, is the problem with electric cars right now. There's just not enough chargers. There are other chargers in this area, but at the cost per kilowatt hour of paying for public charging, it would be insane for me to go anywhere else than Electrify America because I'm not getting that sweet deal of free charging for 3 years. Charging this car at public charging costs about $250 a month, which is about what it costs to fill up my Miata at 30 miles per gallon. So if you're relying only on public charging and you're paying for it, it's not a good value proposition. You're still saving on maintenance, you're still saving on ass pain, but you're not saving on the cost of getting to work. That's the reality. And that's something that we need to do collectively as a state, as a city, as a country. We need to make this cheaper, or else people aren't going to want it. This is actually kind of a godsend because there's 4 people at this charger, and there aren't 4 people waiting behind those 4 people at this charger. That's a rare occasion. My wife deals with this by... I'm afraid to even tell you the secret, because if I say it, everyone else is going to start doing it. But my wife gets around this by just showing up early in the morning. We also get push notifications when chargers are available at this location. So if she gets a notification in the middle of the day and she's home, she'll run out and drive as fast as she can in order to see if she can actually get a charge. But okay, it sucks to charge on public infrastructure. That's not going to be a problem for me for very long because I'm going to have electricity and I'm going to get the rebate for putting a charger in the wall. In fact, the charger that came with the car is actually better than the charger that I'm allowed to install in order to get the rebate. So, of course, I'm going to just return the thing once I get the rebate. So now that we're home, it's time to get to work on this car. First thing I gotta do is swap out the license plate. We got the license plates in the mail, so it's time to stop being a paper plate douchebag. This is the first time in my life I've ever been a paper plate douchebag, and it was nice while it's lasted, but now it's time to put the real license plate on this car. And then we're gonna wash it, we're gonna bring it into the garage, do a clay bar, and then we're gonna try out this ceramic coat. Big girl, but now that it's in, I've blotted it dry. I didn't want to wipe because I didn't want to drag anything that might be on the paint down. There's still a few water spots, but that is not a big deal. We will take care of that as we go. The next thing we're going to do is clay bar this whole thing. Now, this car is only a few months old, so I don't expect it to be terribly dramatic. So I got the Clay Magic fine grain, and we're just going to get some soapy water, the clay bar, and we're going to get every section and wipe it down with microfiber. This looks really, really good. The next step in this process is to wipe this whole car down with isopropyl alcohol. And it's not exactly isopropyl alcohol. It's 50% mixed with distilled water. So at least that's what I read. So hopefully that is the correct amount, the correct ratio of isopropyl alcohol, because obviously there's still residue from the clay, from the cleaner, and we want to get all of that off before we put the ceramic coating on. All right, now we're up to the good stuff, the ceramic coating. I purchased this, so I can say whatever I want about it. I can say if it sucks, I can say if it's great, and I can say if I'm indifferent about it. So far, I can say that this was a lot of work. Yeah, flies all over the place.
We got flies all over the fucking place.
The instructions are simple enough. Shake well. It's always a good idea to shake well. Use in ventilated areas so you don't die of inhalation. Apply in straight lines all over the paintwork. Allow coating to dry for 30 seconds to 1 minute. And remove using a premium microfiber cloth. This is the most premium that Kirkland has to offer. That smells really bad. went ahead and cleaned up the wheels as good as I could. I did not have any tire shine, so they didn't come out as good as I wanted them to, but the rest of the car, my God, this looks so good. I think since it is in the afternoon, this would be a good time to find a spot for some pictures. Let's go for a drive. I want to talk about this car a little bit while we're out there. So we've talked about charging. It sucks. That's old news. We've also talked about why I bought this car. And since I'm not trying to sell you a car, I don't really need to convince you. If you think EVs suck, leave a comment and let me know. I'm not going to argue with you. They have their upsides and their downsides. It fits our use case. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the actual driving experience of an electric car as a car guy. I'm going into this in a little bit of detail, mostly because I know some people that are interested in getting electric cars, and all they're fixated on seems to be 0 to 60 time. And 0 to 60 time, that's great. Going fast is awesome. Stepping on the throttle, not the gas, the throttle, putting your foot into it and getting a good hard pull is fun. But I'm going to tell you, as somebody who has been commuting for 5 years on an electric motorcycle that can go 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds, it gets old. Not really that it gets old, but you get used to it. And the thing with electric cars and going fast in an electric car is that you're so isolated, especially being such a quiet cabin, such a well-built car. You don't get any of the other sensory input that you get from going fast in a gas car. You don't get the noises, you don't get the rattles or the wind noise or the engine noise. You don't get a holistic experience. All you get pretty much is G-force. The novelty fades, and it just becomes something that is there for you to use when you need it, and it's useful for when you need it. But other than that, it's just a way to get around. I mean, trust me on this one. My motorcycle goes 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. That's fast, all right? That is so fast. And when you're sitting forward on a motorcycle, unlike sitting backwards in a car, when you get on that throttle, the blood leaves your head, and if you're not ready for it, you could black out. It is that quick. In an electric car, when you lean back, however, it just gives me motion sickness. This is a great car for getting around. This is a great car for getting to work, for utilitarian purposes, for getting from point A to point B without any drama, without anything that gives you fatigue, really. The blind spots and back kind of suck. But, you know, not every car is a Honda Prelude. And that's the other thing. You drive in small cars, you get great visibility. It's a lot of fun. You're feeling like you're driving a go-kart. But people fucking hate small cars, or they at least hate being behind them. Every single truck that gets behind me in my Prelude, or especially the Miata, has to be right on the back bumper, and that is infuriating. I can't stand it. And you don't get that as much in a bigger car. And in a car that doesn't stand out, in a car that just blends in like this car blends in. I wouldn't even know this car existed if I didn't own one, or was looking to own specifically an EV that was not a Tesla. It's understated class is what I think, in my opinion. I mean, this is by far the nicest car I've ever owned. This is the first new car I've ever owned. This is, by a long shot, the most expensive car I've ever owned. The thing with electric cars, biggest shortcoming right now, is that they're not cheap enough. They're just not cheap enough to buy. They're not cheap enough to fill up. They're just not cheap enough. And I am very, very fortunate that I can afford this. But most of my life I could not. I grew up in a household where we could not even afford the old used car that we had. I grew up in a household where we couldn't even afford the free cars that we were always getting. It was always get a free car, drive it into the ground, don't even do oil changes, because we couldn't afford it. And one of the reasons why I still have my first car is because I had to learn to work on it. I learned to work on it myself because I couldn't afford to pay for a mechanic. And being somebody that grew up poor, that spent most of his life poor or scraping by or struggling to achieve a goal, the fact that I can afford this, to me, is miraculous. But that being said, for electric cars to be something that is accessible to everybody, it needs to be cheaper. It needs to be priced in a way that is accessible to everybody. So until that happens, electric cars will never be a thing. Electric cars will always be resented by the vast majority of people because they're out of reach for the vast majority of people. And to pretend otherwise is just a fantasy. It's a gaslight. It's blowing smoke up our asses. All right, so we're almost at our destination. We're gonna call it there, and we're gonna end this video with some walk-arounds of our freshly ceramic coated electric car. If you like what you see, like, share, subscribe, and comment. And if you don't like what you see, especially if you hate electric cars, if you think I made a huge mistake, or if you're a Tesla enthusiast and you think I should have bought a Tesla, leave a comment because I definitely want to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.